Welcome back to Life at Cyber. Today we're talking to Shannon, that guy right over there. I'm pointing, hoping that the editor will figure that out. Let's get to it. Now he's always going to question me.
All good, all good. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to give you a nice softball question. Why is your office always a mess?
Because I work from home 100% of the time. And there is always a wee little dog down here with me named Toby. And he likes to navigate a boots, and I got to pick shit off of the floor all the time so that he doesn't get it.
Beautiful. Why don't I lean into a more basic question to help our viewers a bit? Shannon, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am Shannon. I've been in the tech industry for about 12 years. In the last 6 years, I've decided to focus solely on security.
That's definitely a little bit.
Questions. Yeah. Because I'm not going to give you a whole lot of context. You got to dig for it.
Well, this would be easy for context because, all we have to do is bring out Marvel versus DC, and we have plenty of content. But we're not going to go there just yet.
All right, Shannon, what got you interested in technology? Let's do that.
What got me interested in technology? This goes back to the 4th grade when my dad decided to buy a computer. And, Torrens Passage, I think, was the game at the time that came with the computer. We bought an IBM. It was the very first gen Pentium. Torrens Passage was on it, and we had Netscape Navigator and I think MSN for dial-up internet. And whenever my parents would want to punish me, they would change the password to the dial-up internet. And I have this personality flaw where I do not like being told what to do, and I do not like having things taken away from me. So they pretty much put baby in the corner and said, shut up and color, and I did not like that. So I would figure out innovative new ways to get around the password situation and gain access back to the internet, or bypass the Windows logon and get onto the computer, leading up to and installing Bonsai Buddy, the happy little chimp down on your start bar that would eat bananas and give you great advice.
And collect your data and all that fun stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I was in 4th grade. I didn't care.
So specifically getting into ITs and computers, I think a lot of us have some of the same stories, but what event in your childhood actually made you say, this is the career I'm going to go into? And why cybersecurity specifically?
So later on in life, I heard this story from my uncle. My uncle Merlin, who I love, he's recently passed on. I miss him a lot, but I struggled with anxiety when I was younger, and I didn't know what anxiety was at the time. This was around 5th, 6th grade. I didn't know what was going on. My uncle Merlin knew a professor at the local community college here, and introduced me to the community college professor who he knew, and he started taking me to his classes. I went to his A+ class, and I took his Network Plus class in the 5th and 6th grade. Built my first computer there, 486, 386s, learned about Caldera, DRDOS, MS-DOS, the differences between the two, getting Windows 3.1 up and running, and trying to figure out how to network using stupid BNC connectors and T adapters. And just the constant struggle, it was like Legos to me, because I always loved Legos as a kid, and I always tell people that building computers is a lot like Legos. Don't force it to fit into a square and you're probably fine. You can get your computer up and running. But it was that constant mental challenge that I thrived on that got me into computers. And the teacher, he was also kind of a jerk, but I loved him too.
Well, you learn from someone.
Yeah, he would come by and I would get something up and running, like a network using the T adapters and the BNC connectors, and he would remove the terminator on one of the ends and just walk away. Just that slight little thing that would break it, and then I would spend hours trying to figure out what it was. I was young, so looking back now, I think it was I was annoying him and he needed a way to distract me, so he would just disconnect one of the ends and I would spend hours trying to figure out how to fix it. And then when, you know, I was tolerable again, he would come back and just put the BNC or the Terminator back on and be like, "Oh, it works. Good job."
That explains a lot. You were his Robin, Shannon. You're being trained by Batman.
Kind of, yes. Batman the Jew.
Which Robin are we talking about? Or like Jason Todd, Dick Grayson? We need to be specific. It's important.
I'm not dead yet, so I don't think it's that one.
I know you were just talking about thin net, thick net, and stuff, and showing your age there, man.
Yeah.
BNC connectors. Come on, man.
I was in
I'm
fifth
like,
grade.
I don't know what kids nowadays would even know what you're talking about. They're like, "Oh, you're old."
It's like coax cable.
What's that?
If you don't know what coax is, then stop watching me.
Yeah, all of you that are here for career advice and stuff, stop watching him because he's old. That's the message here today. So why specifically cybersecurity, Shannon? So that got us a good start in your interest. But did the cybersecurity stuff come young, or did that come later on in life?
It came during when I was trying to figure out how to crack passwords and get on the internet. After that, I thought I wanted to go into forensics, and then we got into the college course with Dave Pettinary, one of the forensics examiners in our city. And we started using Encase, and I really got into it, and I actually liked it a lot. And then he started talking about some of the material that he had to see and how he had to correlate it to crimes. And I was like, okay, if I could pick and choose the crimes that I could work on, that would be great. But I realized that that isn't going to be an option. So I need to figure out a second way that I can use this skill set. And that translated to security. And I also like the idea that I can put people in the corner and tell them no and to stop using my network that way. So it kind of strokes two egos there.
At least you're honest.
You didn't want to go into searching accounting fraud cases? Too boring for you?
No, that was fine. It was the murder mysteries and the sexual assault and things of that nature that I did not want to see.
Soul sucking. That makes sense.
It's like moderating on social media. Hard pass. Yeah.
So you speak a lot about you had this hacker mentality at a young age. However, you hate development. Why? A lot of hackers go into that field. They become software developers because they want to modify things.
Well, yeah, if it changes, I have to learn something new.
Our whole field changes.
I know. It's the struggle that I deal with.
That's the nature of the beast.
It's a bittersweet thing. It's like you give birth to something only to realize that it's going to die eventually. You know, you bring a human into this world, that's great. You love the thing, but you know it's eventually going to die. At the same time, technology is the exact same way. You bring a new concept into the field, but all-knowing technology doubles every single year, so it's on an accelerated path to death.
So is everything that you install in cybersecurity. Come on.
Exactly.
No, I run the same firewall I run in 1990.
Shannon just compared every bit of work he's ever done in technology to his children.
Yes.
Yes, I love them. They're eventually going to die. I mean, that's just...
Man.
You can't ignore that fact.
You know, one day we'll get you into as a developer. One day.
I develop things. It's mainly shit,
Really?
but I
Name
develop things.
one. Maybe two. Name two.
Mm, well, most of the time I develop a sandwich and then it develops into shit, is where I was going to go with that. So there's your two things.
We're all excrement factories. Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But the field does change all the time, and I love it, but it's a love hate relationship.
While we're talking about the constant learning cycle in the technology industry, what was your educational path like? Did you like study IT or cybersecurity formally? Were you self-taught? How did it shift over time?
A lot of it was self taught through the relationships that I built with the instructor at the community college. Um, I didn't really meet a lot of people. I met people who had the same interests as me just because they liked to build computers. So they were pseudo IT people because they built their own computer, but it was mainly just for gaming. I didn't really meet a lot of like minded people until I went to college. And I was shy, but I did sign up for the computer club at the university. I joined ACM. That's where I met pretty much all three of you, but I didn't really talk to you. I hated John when I first met him. Kenny, I met him when he was in middle school, and the entire time, like the first day I met him, I was like, wow, this kid is trying really hard to impress me with his knowledge.
I was in high school,
But
thank you.
yeah, whatever you were, you were in high school, but with a middle school's body. It had me all confused.
That's probably still true today, let's be real.
Kenny looked like he was 12 to his 28, so don't worry about that.
Um, but yeah, I was really intimidated when I met other people like me because I never really had that experience until I got to the university, and then I met John, who's brilliant. I met Spanish, who's brilliant. I already knew Kenny, but thanks to my experience at the community college, I got to sleep through like the first 2 years of the university. The
He's
A
not
plus,
lying about that.
the A plus course and the network plus course, I pretty much slept through. Security was the first challenge, and I think it was more of a challenge to me because we had a poor professor than anything. Like the material was there, but they didn't make it exciting or engaging. I didn't really want to work on it. In fact, I failed the security plus the first time I took it.
I remember you struggling in network class too.
Was it
Subnetting
because I
really
had to?
got you.
I don't think subnetting got me because my guy taught me that. I
I
think
just
that,
remember you struggling with it and complaining about it and then getting mad at me for not having a problem with it. But
oh, I definitely complained about it. I guarantee I complained about it because I still think it's stupid that they make people learn how to subnet by hand. Not
I
one
make
time
people
have
learn
I
it, so
ever
I
had to
disagree.
subnet by hand. Have
I
any
don't
of
use
you
that
ever ran
information.
into a situation where you've had to subnet by hand?
Did I had to? No, but did I? Yes.
It's less about having to do it by hand and more about knowing how it works.
I
And
agree.
this is what I tell everybody is like, if you ever have to do this, use a calculator, same as Shannon. But understand how this works on the back end so you know how to read it and you know how to interact with it.
When you look at the IP subnet and gateway and go, wait a minute, that gateway's not even in the same freaking class. What's going on here? Yeah.
And then drawing it out with the ones and zeros, that's what really got me. They're like, let's convert it to binary now. And I'm like, why the hell do I want to do that?
I still make people do it, man.
So do I.
But you were the guy that I met you when you were sleeping in class and you woke up just long enough to answer the question and went back to sleep. That's how I met Shannon. So
Well, yeah, she thought she was going to corner me, but little did she know I was half asleep. Answered her question.
what's half of a bite? He wakes up, a nibble, and goes right back to sleep.
Shannon, how about the rest of the education? Like, because I know you didn't finish in that one university. You ended up switching or transferring to another. And when did your like certification journey begin? I'm not really sure how that started.
So the certification journey began at the university. I got the A plus and the network plus there. I failed the security plus and I got disgruntled. And I kind of got down on myself. And then we got to the next year and I started talking to the, who did they assign to us? I want to say it's a counselor, but that's not the term that they
An
used there.
advisor.
Yeah, we had our advisor, and they were talking out like the next set of courses that I was going to have to take at the university. And they're like, you're going to have to take economics, and you're going to have to take liberal arts, and you're going to have to do this. And I'm like, why? I'm here for IT. I can understand math, I can understand science classes, but why do I need to take literal arts, and why do I need to take economics? This, you're just trying to milk me for more money. This is bullshit. And at that time, John and I were on a good friendship relationship. And he was like, hey, I got a job opportunity here. Come and work with me. And I said, I will do that. And I decided to leave the university. At the same time, the certification adventure continued because the job required me to get, I believe, the security plus and server plus while I was there before he would promote me to like the next tier. So I got some more certifications at the job. John left the job. He's a dick. Moved to a different state. He's still a dick.
Man, I
You
can't
know,
believe what people are going to think about me now. Jeez, thanks, Shannon.
he's safe dick. Just so you know, he's like the dick that you like to like. He's safe.
What is this analogy?
We're not going with this analogy anymore, but it's interesting to hear that what actually made you do your certifications was, hey, you want a job? That's what that sounds like to me. It's like, hey, do you want a job? Okay, I'll do them. But because it was for the university, you're like, eh.
Well, I got the two at the university, but that was my first real job in the industry. I mean, we all worked at the call center for Motorola, but I don't think any of us took that job seriously. It was just a college job. You know, working at that facility generated the next phase of my career, got
So
me the
still
two
on
new
that
certifications, and I moved on to healthcare.
still on that education path, you did end up getting your degree. How did you get that? How did you make that transition and go back to school, I guess?
I always had a big drive. I always wanted to be the first person in my family to have a 4 year degree. No one in my family has ever had a 4 year degree, and in my head, I felt like a quitter because I quit the university and I actually wanted to see that through. And John turned me on to Western Governors University, which I found to be a good fit for me. It wasn't like the traditional university where they tried to pigeonhole me into several classes that I didn't think I had to take just because I needed humanities. And I was able to progress through the rest of my school career and get my degree there. As for my graduate degree, I got together with who is my wife now, and turns out God has a sense of humor. She was an art major, um, and she wanted to go back to school. I think I used the joke on her. I said, "What do art majors say at their job?" Something like that, and she said, "What?" And I said, "Would you like fries with that?" And I got hit. Um, she decided she wanted to go back for nursing, and the only way that we could make it work financially is if I went back to school at the same time,
I thought she was a music major.
which is an art,
I guess so.
specifically in vocals. That's why she's so good at bitching. Um,
So how do you justify it for yourself? You're an awful vocalist.
I just like to hear myself talk.
Fair.
Do you ever have her serenade you at night?
She does it anyway. It's like this subconscious skill that she has. I'll put on a song like, say, Linkin Park, and all of a sudden she'll start belting it out, and I'll have to look over at her and I'd be like, I want to hear Chester sing it. I do not want to hear you sing it. That's why I put it on. And again, I get hit.
I did hear they're looking for a female vocalist. Let her know.
I heard that, and I heard Evanescence came up, but I think it was a rumor.
So you went obviously from the university, you got finished your degree online, and then you said you went into healthcare, and you've been into healthcare for how many years now?
Going on 13 or 14.
Do you enjoy the healthcare field? Is it um,
Um,
I guess what do you enjoy most about being in the healthcare field?
I think, as with any job, it's a love hate relationship. Um, I think I've been in this field for so long that I've kind of pigeonholed myself into the healthcare sector. It won't be easy for me to pivot to a completely different sector. Like if I wanted to, unless it's teaching, if I want to pivot into something else and become like an incident handler or work for an MSP, that would be hard for me unless I was willing to start at the very bottom over again. Uh, I like working in healthcare just because I know I'm making a difference. I don't like it because people don't necessarily understand how IT makes a difference in healthcare. We're kind of behind the curtains, but the doctors and the nurses realize our contribution real quick when the EMR goes down or if the EMR goes down. So, and you know, you get to see it with COVID. You get to design new solutions to implement to help with patient care to be able to do things quicker. Um, and you get to see different investments in biomed and the technological contributions to the actual patient, like Neuralink, things like that. So that's kind of cool. But there is a sense of accomplishment there. You do feel like that you are helping the patient. Some days it's just hard to see.
So Shannon, kind of combining these two topics a bit, in your life, you've had a couple health scares yourself. I know you've had some stuff go on with neurology and cardiology. And I'm curious because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who can relate to that. How have those like health scares kind of had an impact on your career, your trajectory, the way you think about it, your motivations? Have any of those changed since you had the health concerns come up in your life?
The health concerns were hard, and I got a pacemaker put in when I was 26, and that was hard for me because I don't think I was just talking about having kids and going on our honeymoon and things like that, and then I started blacking out randomly, and we found out that my heart was stopping, and they had to put a pacemaker in. And in the moment, you freak out. You're like, "Oh shit, am I going to die?" Um, and then you have to talk through that part mentally with your spouse or whomever and figure out a way to get back on the horse and continue. And I did that with the pacemaker. I came to peace with it. I finally decided, it is what it is. I'm just going to have to wear a Faraday cage if I'm going to ever go to any black hat conferences or anything hacking conferences. Find a way to put a little cage over my pacemaker. Um, the biggest struggle for me and the biggest setback was being diagnosed with seizures. And they actually came to think that the seizures were what was causing my heart to pause. Um, Condition known as vasovagal syncope, heart just randomly stops, is what they originally thought. They didn't have the diagnosis of seizures, but the diagnosis of seizures came later because I would be in the middle of a moment and I would just stop and babble about stuff. I would go to complete gibberish. It wasn't like a full fall down grand mal seizure, so it was harder to diagnose. That one set me back. I legitimately think about 3 years because they're putting you on different drugs, taking you off of different drugs, trying to get it to where your seizures stop. Well, a side effect of seizures is it impacts your short term memory and different memories altogether because every time you have a seizure, it's damaging a certain section of your brain. Unfortunate is taking the medication also impacts your short term memory. So it's like, is this a seizure that's happening right now, or is this because of the medication that I can't remember shit? Um, took about 3 years to figure that out before I got seizure freedom again, and I don't remember those 3 years. I did my job like I was in the moment, and I did the paces of my job, but I don't think I learned anything in those 3 years because everything kept impacting my short term memory, and to an extent, my long term memory. There's things that I have to re remember. Is the way that I like to think about it. Go through, read books like on the CISSP, Security Plus, like relearn those strategies all over again because I feel like I just lose them over time. So I constantly have to like relearn as well as learn in the moment through the career. It's hard. And I feel for anybody who has to go through these situations, but luckily John's mom was able to relate with me and able to talk me off of the horse a couple different times because she's had similar health scares. I think the biggest thing that I struggled with is I couldn't remember shit, and I don't like things getting taken away from me. And one of the biggest things is when you're diagnosed with seizures, you can't drive anymore. So I felt like I was put on an island and I was codependent on everybody. I had to get a ride from my wife to work. I had to switch my schedule over completely to her schedule. We were just having kids. And then they were finally like, well, your seizures we figured out are stress induced. So you need to figure out a way how to manage your stress. And it's like, how the hell am I supposed to manage my stress? I work in IT. And that is why I've become a big advocate of mental health is you can actually stress about things enough to force yourself to have seizures. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. You know, you're sitting at home in or at work designing these huge concepts, putting yourself under a bunch of pressure just to meet deadlines. It's not worth it. Don't put yourself in that situation to where you're going to either cause yourself A, to have a mental breakdown, or B, to have something worse like seizures or anxiety or any type of mental illness. It's just not worth it in this career.
That's a tough story, but I think it's definitely a good message to share because I know a lot of people that can relate with that, and a lot of people will hit those first hurdles and then just quit. It's good to hear that, you stood up and learned how to deal with it and how to cope with it and how to continue your life, right?
Well,
So, how are things now compared to then?
I don't like being told I can't do things. So, someone telling me that I can't do IT because I have a mental illness problem, I'm telling myself to suck it up and continue. Um, I figured out some coping strategies that have worked well with me. I figured out how to just walk away from a situation, not necessarily to give up on something, but just like a good stopping point and knowing when to pick, knowing how to pick your battles is an art, is what it comes down to. I don't like being wrong, and I also struggle with always liking to be right. And I've had to learn how to temper those expectations in order to not get myself so worked up that I cause myself to have a breakdown over something. So I've had to work on some personality flaws of my own just to keep the sanity. I have to stop and look back and be like, Shannon, you're causing this on yourself. Stop it.
You can't go to the gym. You can't eat salad anymore. You're not allowed to do any of that starting today. Sorry, Shannon.
Fuck off getting carrot cake.
Carrot cake's so good.
You still owe me carrot cake. You told me at your wedding that it was going to be carrot cake, and then I get served some type of lemon mush.
Was it? I thought it was carrot cake. Oh, mine was. Oh, that's what we did. The topper was carrot cake, but the rest was not.
Did anybody else get carrot cake? No. Did John get carrot cake? Yes.
Yeah.
What did Shannon get?
The
Lemon
topper
blueberry
goes
mush.
to Yep, the topper goes to us. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I should have realized I did that to you. I'm sorry. I guess I
Hey,
owe you a carrot cake.
John's a dick.
How can I get in on this carrot cake? I love carrot cake.
I'm gonna have to make lots of carrot cake.
Oh,
Lori makes some
you.
really good carrot cake. We're gonna have her make some carrot cake.
So my mom and dad, side story, get away from me a little bit. Well, I guess it's related. It's my parents. They like to gamble, so they get a lot of comp. They've had so much comp that they've went to a casino up in Cripple Creek, and they have like $300 or so worth of comp there for food. They don't like any of the restaurants there, but the restaurant that is there has amazing carrot cake. So they'll go there and they'll be like, "We want an entire sheet of carrot cake," and they'll use their comp specifically on carrot cake.
That's funny.
So they don't get meals or anything there. They just know that they have good carrot cake. I looked up this carrot cake and it's like $150 carrot cake.
Wow.
So good.
This sounds like
And
a Ron Swanson move.
yeah, they got some this weekend and I was looking at it. It's 710 calories a slice.
It's rich.
Worth
It is
it.
delicious though. Yes.
Bet. So you mentioned coping. What does Shannon like to do outside of the cybersecurity realm? What's fun for Shannon?
Hanging out with my wife.
Even though she sings you into like annoyance?
Yeah, but I annoy her in strategic ways.
It's part of the banter.
Um, I took up golfing. I suck at golfing, but I took it up, and I can really hit a wicked splice. And it turns out that you can also injure yourself playing golf, which I found out, while I was practicing. You know how there's tennis elbow? There's also
Mhm.
golf elbow. Yeah, my body likes to remind me that it's old.
What do you do
Used to
with the
be
wife? Sorry.
with the wife.
Yeah.
Raising our kids right now. We go out occasionally. We try and take the kids out, go out to eat at least once a week, and have a cheap meal at a place. I don't want to say Texas Roadhouse on here because John will give me crap. We like Texas Roadhouse, and we also like Cactus Flower as a little Mexican place here. Has great chimichangas.
Nice.
When you and the wife go on vacation, where do you guys like to go?
Ah, this is divorce conversation. Um, I I
Somewhere
like
with a beach, right?
I like to go to Vegas, and she likes to go to the frickin' beach. And I can't drink alcohol because seizures, but she'll like, let's go to this all-inclusive resort with unlimited alcohol, unlimited margaritas and daiquiris, and they're like, you can have a virgin something, Shannon. I'm like, oh, thank you. I have that here. It's called Coke and Diet Coke or Diet Mountain Dew or the assortment of other beverages that I can have staying at home. So
Little
yeah,
side story. A little side story for Shannon is, uh, we went to Mexico, realized they didn't have Dr. Pepper, and so he bribed some guy to go to a local store and pick him up a case of Dr. Pepper and bring it back to the hotel.
boy, and did he
It,
deliver.
Wow.
That was before I liked Coke.
Wow.
Well, if you've never been to Mexico, all they have is Coke and Fanta. So
Yeah.
you say you want a drink, they're like, okay, Coke or Fanta, and I'm like, I don't like either of these choices. Can I have some more? And they're like, water, and I'm like, no,
bad,
no,
bad idea. Bad idea.
Not in Mexico.
no. I will take the Fanta, thank you.
So, Shannon, one of the things you didn't talk about for fun, I know for sure you're an avid gamer, although you don't do it as much as you used to.
Not ju-
How do you engage in that now, and what kind of games do you play?
Well, I was playing Power World, but sometimes you jack up your own server that you're hosting and blow up all of your shit. So I quit playing that. I deleted that virtual machine completely. I got really into Red Dead and Red Dead 2. I beat Red Dead 2 not realizing that it was a prequel. And then I was like, well, shit, now I have to play Red Dead. And then I got sidetracked by getting another certification. So I need to get back after I'm done doing this certification and finish Red Dead first of all, but then play Forbidden West. I have a stack of games from like 2010 all the way up to current of games that I need to play that are still sealed in the packages.
I know you started your daughter on, what was that, Wario Run for a while?
Wario's Move It. Yeah, she
Move
played
It, there
that
you
for a
go.
little bit. She likes playing some Mario. She's still a little too young to play Mario Kart. She still likes driving into the wall. And then, eventually giving up. She could never master the arrow and jump at the same time, so playing regular Mario or even Donkey Kong is still kind of beyond her.
Well, if she's anything like her mother, that's not going to change.
No. And we both have terrible sense of direction, so that doesn't really help either.
I think we've bombarded Shannon enough, but before I get to rapid questions, I did want to ask, why do you get so defensive on our YouTube comments?
You mean the two comments that we've had from people?
Why can't you just let the trolls be? I think is what he's asking.
I want them to argue with me. If you're watching this and you're not our parents, please engage us in conversation. It makes the experience feel validated.
And Shannon will be there. You'll be there.
If you're not debating Shannon in the comments, he's really sad.
I do get sad.
Oh, no need to get sad. No need to get sad. All right, so let's do the rapid fire.
Sometimes
Get you
I
off this
agree
hot
with
seat.
them. I don't get disgruntled with all of them. One of them called Kenny a whiny little bitch, I think, and I was like, yeah, he is. So I agree with 33% of our comments.
There's definitely more. All right, rapid fire.
All right. I know the answer to most of these, but this is for our viewers. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Marvel or DC?
Yes.
Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Yes.
Mac or PC?
PC.
Favorite streaming service?
Netflix.
And your favorite vacation spot?
Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
Del World.
Sorry. Yeah, that was fun.
All right, you're off the hot seat. Any words for our viewers? The three of them.
Please watch. At least the shorts.
That's all. That's the only thing Shannon cares about is the shorts, guys. So
At least make it convincing, man. Get on your hands and knees and beg.
Then I wouldn't be in the view of the camera.
You can go to the back. I can see the floor behind you.
Then my chair would be in the way.
Move
Logic
out of
is
the way.
Oh.
you'd have to put pants on, guys. Don't worry.
I do have shorts on. You would see my pasty white legs.
Oh, that's far enough. Thanks for joining
Mike,
us.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
That's
We're done.
Shannon.
That's
Like, subscribe,
Shannon.
and argue with Shannon in the comments. It's fun.
I thought we were done
Bye.
talking. That's why I moved on to the pasty white legs.